Hey friends, I've got some news to share with you today. Next week, I'll be taking a short break from December 1st to December 12th. This means our daily market updates and news podcasts will take a pause. I know many of you tune in every morning for market insights, but even iguanas need a vacation sometimes. This break will help me recharge and come back with fresh ideas for the channel. I've lined up some exciting content for when I return. Meanwhile, here's the daily stock update for today.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We're diving right into it today. Big day for the Singapore market.
Definitely keeping us on our toes.
3 companies are making some serious moves, and we want to break it down for you.
Love that. Sounds like a plan.
So we're talking about Mapletree Logistics Trust, DBS Group Holdings, and IREIT Global.
Interesting mix. Covers a lot of ground. We've got real estate, we've got banking, and global real estate investment all in one go.
Yeah. Gives us a nice little snapshot, right, of what's happening across the board.
Exactly, like taking the market's pulse.
So let's start with Mapletree Logistics Trust.
MLT.
MLT. They just made a big move. They decided to sell 2 warehouse properties over in Japan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and for a pretty hefty sum, too. We're talking 4.25 billion Japanese yen,
Whoa.
which is roughly about $37.5 million.
That's a significant chunk of change. I wonder what's behind that decision.
Right. What do you think this tells us about MLT's overall strategy?
Well, it could be that they're shifting their focus, right? Maybe looking more towards Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia.
Yeah. That region is just booming right now, especially with e-commerce. And so the demand for logistics spaces is just going through the roof.
Ah, I see.
Japan's growth has been, well, let's just say a bit slower compared to that kind of dynamic energy in Southeast Asia. So maybe MLT is, looking to capitalize on those hotter markets.
Yeah, that makes sense. Repositioning themselves for some even bigger gains.
Exactly.
So before this announcement, MLT's unit price was holding steady at $28.
Okay.
Do you think we're going to see any reaction from the market to this news?
I wouldn't be surprised. This move, it really shows that MLT is, proactive. They're managing their portfolio well. They're clearly focused on growth, on high growth regions.
Makes you think.
Absolutely. And I think investors, they pick up on that. They see that kind of forward thinking, and it can really boost confidence.
Okay, on to our next company, DBS Group Holdings.
All right, DBS. Always making headlines.
Always. They're all about regional expansion, right?
Yeah.
And they just sealed a new partnership that really underlines that ambition.
Tell me more.
So they're joining forces with Japan Finance Corporation.
JFC.
JFC, yep. And they're aiming to help Japanese SMEs break into 6 major Asian markets.
Wow, that's a big deal. Which markets are we talking about?
Okay, so we've got Singapore, of course, China, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia,
Okay.
and Taiwan. So what do you think? What's the bigger picture here with this partnership?
Well, I think this is a classic win-win.
Win-win.
Yeah. So DBS, they get to strengthen their presence in the Japanese SME market.
Okay.
And JFC, they get to tap into DBS's huge network across all these, key Asian markets. It's really smart.
Yeah, definitely strategic.
Oh, and there's one more thing that's really interesting about this.
Okay.
JFC, they're going to be providing standby letters of credit.
Standby letters of credit.
Yeah, so think of it this way. You have a Japanese SME, right, trying to secure a loan from, let's say, an Indonesian bank. Now, that Indonesian bank, they might be a bit hesitant, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Because they don't really know the SME's credit history. So a standby letter of credit from JFC, it basically acts as a guarantee.
Oh, like a safety net.
Exactly. It's like JFC saying, hey, if this SME can't repay the loan, we got you covered.
So it makes everyone feel more secure.
Exactly. So it makes it much easier for those Japanese SMEs to, get funding in these new markets.
Smart.
Right.
Okay, so DBS shares closed slightly higher right before this partnership was announced.
Interesting.
I think this collaboration could give their growth an extra push.
Oh, I think it definitely has the potential. This move really solidifies DBS's position as a leader, right, in facilitating cross-border business in Asia.
I see.
And as more and more Japanese SMEs start looking to expand internationally, well, DBS is sitting pretty. They're ready to benefit from that trend.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. We're heading over to Europe now, where IREIT Global is making some moves.
Oh, Europe. Always exciting.
They're making waves with their Berlin campus asset.
Berlin campus. Okay.
They just secured a 20-year lease.
Wow, 20 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, with Premier Inn.
Premier Inn. Okay, so we're talking hotels.
They're the UK's largest budget hotel chain.
Oh, I've heard of them, yeah.
So this lease, it's for a portion of the Berlin campus property.
Okay.
It covers about 12% of the total space.
Got it.
And it's actually all tied into a massive refurbishment project they have planned for the campus.
Big plans. How much are they investing?
Yeah, a huge refurbishment. $42 million.
That's quite an investment.
It is. And they're planning to start that in Q2 of 2025.
So they're thinking long term.
Absolutely. What do you make of this long-term lease, especially with it happening even before the refurbishment is done?
Well, it shows they're pretty confident in the Berlin real estate market. I mean, to secure such a long lease with such a major hotel chain, even before the renovations are complete, it really says something about their strategy and about the appeal of the property.
It definitely seems like they're betting on Berlin for the long haul. And before this announcement, IREIT units closed at $6.28.
Okay.
Could this new development with the lease and the refurbishment, could it impact investor sentiment?
I think it's definitely a positive signal. Investors who are looking for those staple long-term returns, this is right up their alley.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because that 20-year lease, it's a guaranteed income stream, right? And it shows that IREIT can attract those high-quality tenants.
Right.
And with the refurbishment on the horizon, it's all adding up to potentially a lot of interest in IREIT units.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. What would you say are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, we saw Mapletree Logistics Trust, shifting their focus to high-growth Southeast Asian markets. DBS Group Holdings, they're expanding their influence in cross-border business across Asia.
Right. And IREIT Global, they're solidifying their presence in, what seems to be a pretty stable German real estate market.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it, of how these companies are, navigating this current economic landscape.
It really does. And you know what ties all these stories together? What's that? It's the dynamism and the interconnectedness of the Asian business landscape.
Interesting.
These companies, they're not just reacting, they're adapting to global trends, they're actively seeking out new opportunities, and they're making some very strategic moves to position themselves for future growth.
It's fascinating stuff. And it leaves us with, maybe a final thought.
Oh.
How will these individual moves, how will they impact their respective sectors in the coming months? It's something to think about, right?
Absolutely. Definitely food for thought.
All right, everyone, that's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.